Hello and welcome, everybody. It's a great pleasure talking again today to my dear friend Alexandre Vingtier. Welcome, Alexandre. How may I tell people about you? I mean, I put down you're the co-founder of ISS Awards. Would you please introduce yourself to the people? You've got so many hats on. I know you write books. You edit a magazine called Rum Porter, and we will touch on. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
How to say? I'm a spirit expert at large, working with producers, with appellation, even government sometimes, official region, on many different categories, which include rum and sugarcane spirits, which would be our main topic today. But yes, some of the producers, thanks to you, invited me also to visit all the different fruit brandies, gin, whiskey, and even rum from Austria, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, and south of Germany. That's the trip we did last time together, and it was absolutely awesome. Discovering extremely peaty single malt and very interesting rum and gin. You have a fantastic region with a very strong tradition of distilling and an excellent knowledge in making good spirit very tasty and highly drinkable, I would say.
Well, I can remember it was a great time having you here, and hopefully you can come again very soon.
Yeah. Well, the issue with you, I remember that we had the Schengen thing, so we could travel very easily, but we crossed in like 36 hours. I believe we crossed borders more than 20 times. Going from Switzerland to Austria, then back, and then going to Liechtenstein, back to Swiss, and so on, and going to Germany. And even the cell phone cannot manage going from there to there. You have to shut it down like every 2 hours after each meeting with the producer, because there are so many borders in in such a narrow district. But yeah, it was it's beautiful countryside, lovely people, and absolutely stunning spirits. Even I remember the guys from Appenzell, the Santis single malt.
Yeah, right.
And they asked me I helped them to find a few casks, and because they like to do this Snow White special edition for Christmas. And Absolutely. Then I found them some Calvados casks from Christian Drouin.
I can remember,
to do a finish, and I'm still looking for 1 or 2 casks for them, because the first one I found were the Grand Marnier casks, actually, and then I found them some Calvados casks for their Snow White. So yes, I've been involved in 2 of their Snow White editions so far.
Okay,
just for fun, but yeah. I work with Coopers, actually, so it can be New Oak, or it can be also second-hand. So yes, I have access to many casks, and I work also with type of casks that have never been used before. Yeah, that's part of my job, if you wanted a full picture. So I write, of course, I write books, I write articles, and then yes, I work with the appellation producer, which include not only spirit producer but also some businesses on the side, glass maker, coopers, even glass coopers, even some soft sodas and so on, and a lot of fingering. So many categories, including kaiju, sake, shochu.
I'm sorry, my camera left me, so I had to change the camera very quickly.
It's too warm.
We have around
the 4G network is going down.
We have around 32 degrees this afternoon, so I decided to go outside instead of sitting inside.
I have to stay inside. It's 38 outside here.
No, really? Goodness.
In Bordeaux, it's 42.
Goodness me. Okay, Alexandre, thanks very much for introduction. I know you wrote several books. You're an expert on whiskey. You're an expert on rum. You have your own magazine called Rum Porter.
Exactly.
That's in French language?
It's in French and Spanish, in printed and online. And online also we have another edition only for online in English.
I see.
Not in German so far.
No German so far. Is the market too small, or?
No, we need to find a good partner.
I see. Okay.
No, the market is good, I believe. So now the maturity of rum and so on in Germany is very, very interesting. And GSA in general, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, obviously.
I see. The reason why we're talking today is there is something new coming up called ISS. What is ISS Awards?
International Sugarcane Spirit Awards. We didn't name it International Rum Awards because rum is the common name for some of the greatest sugarcane spirits. But the idea was to try to englobe all of those categories with new emerging categories. Of course, everybody knows for the last 30 years about cachaça, and there's been a lot going on about Brazilian cachaça, which is trying to protect its geographical indication and so on. Then you heard also about Clairin from Haiti, where I've worked a lot, and I still work with Haiti on a yearly basis, and there are lots of things happening at the moment on the Clairin scale. Plus, after you have other type of sugarcane spirits, which are not called rum, at least locally. Legally, they could be called rum, maybe in the US or in Europe, but locally they are not known as this. You have some great aguardiente de caña, or you can have cañazo also. I couldn't name all the categories. There are so many across the globe, because the idea also is that we want to build the International Sugarcane Spirit Awards, the competition for all of them. So it will include all the world, because rum is, as far as I understood and as I know, is the only spirit which is produced on all continents and in each ocean in the world, of course, except Antarctica. I know this answer, but yes, it's produced everywhere. Now we have more than 80 countries producing rum, and real rum, not like whiskey where you can have some ersatz or gimmick. No, you have honest rums being produced in over 80 countries in the world. And even now in continental Europe, we have some great products in France. I've tasted some, of course, in Austria. With Fanner, with making big juice, fruit juice, but also a few spirits with a very good rum, and so on and so on. And now we have rum produced in Scotland. So even in the country of whiskey, where they produce more and more gin, they even have a gin trail. Now you have more than 5 distilleries producing rum. Yeah. I mean, commercializing rum. Producing is even more actually now. And some have got already a very good local recognition or even international recognition. So yeah, that's the idea of International Sugarcane Spirit, is try to encompass all the diversity of sugarcane spirits in the world, not only Caribbean or traditional countries.
I mean, it's brand new. It's going to happen this year the first time.
Yes. So which was the best year to start.
Definitely.
Obviously.
So the question arises, why another new competition? Are the competitions that are already there not good enough? Or why do you start a new competition, especially for sugarcane spirits?
So what do we have so far? We have historically a lot of wine competition at all different scales. Local for one appellation or for one type of grape, national, European or international wine competition. I don't name this competition in particular, but all of their international wine competition. And they have provided something which is very interesting. They have provided awareness about the diversity of wine in the world. Because now, even in France, we drink a lot of Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, some Swiss, German, and so on, or Californian, Argentina, Chilean wine. They are drunk across the world, even South Africa, Australia, and so on. And I drink that on a weekly basis. So I love my Sauvignon from Marlborough, which I would have never heard of before. I love my Shiraz from Australia, or my Chenin, with the original Chenin coming from France, from the 17th century, from South Africa, and so on and so on. So those competitions brought awareness. They also say, yeah, you know, one hierarchy, which is a traditional one, saying maybe Burgundy, Bordeaux, and so on, but then there's been so many things going on that maybe you should check that. Maybe you would find a Priorat or a Riora, which are absolutely stunning, of course, in Italy, but then have you tried the Pinot Noir from New Zealand? So that's the idea. And also sometimes saying, there are a few ones you shouldn't miss now, or a new grape, like we could say that for sugarcane, a new sugarcane variety that is extremely aromatic, that we never heard of, that was in a tiny valley, actually dates back to 200 years ago. And bringing that maybe to a new scale, maybe bringing it back to the Caribbean, where it has been lost, or has never been grown, or was only grown 180 years ago. And I have something in mind when I say that, of course, but that's something you want to see. So my view is rum is the wine of the tropics. Okay? We can have some good wines in the tropics, but culturally, it's the national drink in nearly 60 countries across the globe, and maybe, I mean, wine, yeah, and it's a spirit. Of course, you can have different influences in some country, but originally it's very important. Of course, you have Central America, or in part of Venezuela and so on, where agave spirits are also part of the traditional culture. But then, of course, our corn spirits also there. But then you have very strong cultural connection there with sugarcane spirits, and maybe you never heard of that. I mean, have you tried charanga from Mexico, which is a geographical indication that exists nearly for as long as tequila, so, or mezcal, but you never tried it, and it's not available on an international scale. So that's something we want to bring like that. So, looking at rum as the wine of those countries, we want that to be figured out. So why the competition is that, how did wine competition start? Some say, we are just a happy few who have been able to try the world of wine, or have been even more happier fewer, if you want, to have been able to travel to all of those countries and distilleries. And even some you wouldn't think about, like maybe, I don't know, South Africa or Congo, and discovering always great new things. We need to bring awareness about this, and we want to raise excellency for those products. So we need a specialized competition. We have a lot of very good spirit competition, but what is a spirit competition? Either you have different section and you never cross tasting. So it means you have the brandy, cognacs, Armagnac, and so on taster on one side who are only tasting their things, and then on the other side you might have a few, which is, I believe, extremely rare. I only know national competition who does that. On international competition, you're trying to bring people from all across the world to one place, and then you try to maximize, because it costs a lot to bring all those people together. So you have to try tequila, then you will try absinthe, then you will go to have, I don't know, a petite Scottish whiskey, and then you go back to cognac, and then you will have a flight of, I don't know, shochu or baijiu from China. Who has the proficiency to be a very good taster in all those categories in the world? Across more than 3 or 4 categories, to be a very good, aware of the nutrients, aware of the regulation, aware of what it tastes, or what it could taste actually locally, or nationally, or internationally, because export is not necessarily the reflection of the taste of the local people and so on. Very few people. I mean, if you're already an expert in one category, maybe you can go to 2. But then to go beyond that is really difficult. It's the same with wine in a way. It's very difficult to say, I can taste all the red wines, but then the white, the sparkling, the sweet, or the rosé, you have already a lot of categories. So the idea is to say, no, we will only have, or mostly, rum experts. because we don't want only people to be only in the rum world tasting rum because they know lots of things, they follow everything. No, we also have some of the great bartenders with us. We have also a few wine and spirits specialists. And then we have also people doing research, either privately or with public fund, which are part of the jury. And that's the idea. This mix of people, mix of knowledge, but the core of the jury are people whose taste buds are into rum. But rum by itself is already a huge category. And that's why we created a lot of categories in this competition. It's not to say, this is the best rum in the world. It's, I mean, as a consumer, sincerely, you tell me this is the best wine in the world. I'm just like, really?
Come on.
There is one which is the best wine in the world. And come on. Okay, Romanée Conti, maybe. Not every year. Perhaps, I don't know.
Everybody, you French one. Yeah. Okay, so the idea is to create one.
No, because I cannot travel too far. No, it's the most expensive one probably. But yes, we know a few great names. But that would be, the thing. It's like it's a branding and so on. And you say, no. Which is the greatest Burgundy is already enough, or the greatest Pinot Noir. And here the idea was to create the good categories and also to have the judges for the good categories. Because as I said before, yes, you can judge maybe some wine of France or not some other part, the same for Germany, or you can try Riesling, or you can have semi-sweet or semi-dry, not dry, and so on and so on, or sparkling and so on. So the idea is, yes, we have a committee of experts, and then you have some specialties. Some people are better at very young stuff, some are very extra age stuff, or high strengths like single cask and so on. Also, which are usually higher strengths, or agricole and pure juice, like the one I'm having here, which is actually not from France. You cannot say I'm chauvinistic. This is from Madeira, so I'm drinking agricole from Madeira. Okay.
No, I have a real French one.
I don't have my Blau Frankish from the Donau, but
okay.
So the idea is to have real categories and to have real experts, and then bringing on some energy. So people will study a lot aging. People who are also expert on cachaça, which might try a few other categories in rum, and so on and so on. And also the real difference, I would insist on that. Is that usually what you do is that you do a gathering of people in one place. And there is an issue with that. If you want to be international and have people from all over the world, which we did in our committee, the issue is that you have at least a third of your judges who are jet lagged. You know that. You've done that like me. When we went to China, we had 2 days before, but then after 72 hours, you have to spend 4 or 5 hours per day tasting. That's really difficult. The same when you go to Latin America or stuff like that. Here, the idea also is that we collect all the samples. We have a part of those samples which are going to a lab for tests to check everything. So we trust you, but intelligence say we trust you and we check you. That's the difference. So like this, we are really aware of everything that is there because we know that from batch to batch there might be differences and so on. We know exactly which batch it is, and then we have the analysis from this batch if you want this.
Okay.
And then those samples bottles are put into samples and shipped to the judges. So the judge tests in their own environment. That's also very different. You cannot do that with wine, or you ship bottles everywhere, but wine to ship and so on is more fragile. Spirits is more accustomed, that's how it works. I started with World Whiskey Awards. The first round is you do it at home. You do that, so you only do the final there. But here the idea is really you test in your condition, and you have something like a month to taste the sample we've sent you. Not 2 hours. No, 1 month. So you can taste, retest, and taste again. For me, if I'm doing judging, normally, if some people send me samples for my articles and so on, I have to try the product 3 times. I try to understand, then I analyze, and then I try to see how much I enjoy or how deep is the product. If you have something extremely weird, I take one example. I don't know, some of the latest taste samples I received for Rum Porter magazine. You have rum from Vietnam, one from Oaxaca, or something a new distillery in Africa. Where are your reference there? If you taste once and then you write your tasting notes and you give a grade. No, it's something I never tried. It's too new. So I have to have some time to do that.
You say you send out the samples and they can do it over 1 month, and they are not just allowed but forced to taste it more than once. How many?
So the idea is that
what is the amount you send them out?
So we are shipping a few centiliters. So it should give you at least the opportunity to do 2 tasting. Sometimes you just need to put 1 or 2 cl in front on the glass and you put it back, and then you just nose it like that, and you need to come back again. Then if you really want to taste in your mouth, yes, maybe you will need more. You will see maybe 0.1 cl at the beginning, and then maybe you will have to have something like that. So if we are shipping, I don't recall exactly. I'm not in the logistic part, but you will have at least.
Lucky you.
I think no. As far as I remember, I think it's like 10 centiliters or something like that. Usually, the other competition I organized before were like 10 centiliters, and I believe it's a fair share to try it 2-3 times. Also, you can have like maybe 3-5 centiliters that you leave with the glass, so it can also decant a little, like it would evolve in the bottle. We know that about wine, we know that about spirit, but we judge fresh bottles, pour, taste up. Okay, I'm judging a fresh bottle, and I don't know, my art bag after a few months tried to smell a lot of cooked pineapple, which is not the case when I just opened it. So.
Absolutely.
That's also the idea. And also locally, you have your own influence, but you're aware of your environment, and your nose know how to balance your environment. And also you have your own glassware. So for the moment, we don't have the same glassware for everybody. And I think it's also thank you, Lala. Yes, Michoacan. We talked a lot with people from Michoacan. They have a lot of crazy spirits over there, including rum, but not only rum. Mexico.
Alexandre, we have the first one. We have the first local here. You remember Broga Distillery?
Of course, the most pitied whiskey ever bottled. I want a bottle of the cask strength. I couldn't get the bottle of the cask strength. I only got the 42%. I still have a few samples from that, but.
So Anna, if you watch this, he wants some of the cask. Okay, well, we are in the middle of what's different between ISS and other competitions. I mean, this sounds really, really interesting. So you send out the samples, it's rum only, and our friend Rene is here as well. Why do the first 5 rum categories not have up to 3 years? Now it is white, and then from 3 and up. Oh, this is quite a delicate question.
Thank you, René. I hope you're fine. Yes, so a very good question. So the idea is categories are quite diverse. Of course, first, what we have done is that we have put, because obviously rum is one word, but it's very different things, like, I don't know, brandy or whiskey. I mean, how can you compare a peated single malt to a single grain whiskey or to a bourbon? That's all of them are whiskey, or Jack Daniels, Tennessee, and so on. So we have many, many types. So first we divided the pure juice, so agricole and the other, which are for, I would say, 99% of their production non-sweetened, because agricole by law in Europe cannot be sweetened anyhow. So no, I'm sorry, there is no sugar in that. So most of the pure, not the so-called agricole or locally called agricole or fresh cane juice rum, are usually not sweetened. So here we have that. So what we did is that, yes, we have, to answer this question, then we have molasses and so on. And then we have sweetening levels for other rum. Because when you sweeten, you lose a lot of the characteristic of the raw material. That's true. Then you have some that's part of the local know-how or tradition. So the idea is that we have, yes, from 3 to 6, and we can see that working for most of the categories. If you take agricole, I mean, Madeira is 3 or 6 years old. You cannot have a 5 years old one by law. It's 3, 6, 9, and so on and so on. For us, it's old or vieux in agricole. So that's very logical in the category. And hors exo, extra old, start from 6. So yes, from 3 to 6, this is a very common category for those categories. The same if you take Latino rum or other categories, a lot of I don't know, Barbados, you have 3 years old, or you have 6 years old, and so on. So you have from 3 to 6. That's a very classic category. And then you have 6 and above. So we said white. So why did we put only white? It's from, so you have white from 0 to 3 years old, mostly in the world. Because white doesn't mean that it's not aged. We have some which are charcoal featured, obviously. We know about Bacardi, Havana Club, and all those categories. And the idea was for those, because it's part of the rum culture, especially in mixology. White rum are usually from 0 to 3. You know, Havana 3 years old, and so on and so on. You have some white rum now up to 8 years old. So if you have an age statement, why not? I mean, we had Exo Cognac white a few years ago before we put minimal color by law. So technically anything is possible. So far, we looked at most of the regulation in the world, and we try to put all of them together. I personally have read more than 45 different national regulations about rum to understand how to put all these layers. Technically, yes. So white rum are from 0 to 3.
Okay.
Most of them.
So I think, René, all clear. Otherwise, get up with a new question. Lala is asking, are you going to taste it in home country of origin? No, I think you send out the samples to the judges.
No, we send the samples to the judges. So some judges actually are from originally one country, and I'm living in another also, and some are moving at the moment. So we have we have judges moving from Latin America to North America and so on. So yeah, that's something. So now also the thing is that we have expert, and we have there is a hierarchy also. So if you have some question, not obviously talking about samples and so on, but if some judges, of course, during the tasting have some samples. We've seen that also in the competition we were together. Usually you have a small committee, and you have a president of one jury tasting one category for one set of samples only. Then you can ask question to one guy, who's either it's the president of this jury or the expert in that category in this jury. Of course, there could be interaction in those. The idea is not to give any influence. We really want to have experts who are doing straightforward information, just to give you the best frame or the best understanding of the category if you're missing some information. Of course, you have always some rum from somewhere which is not classical, and
of course.
that doesn't mean that you have to discard it.
Alexandre, you sent them the samples. They know country of origin?
You have 1 month.
They know country of origin? They know ABV?
No country. There is no country.
They know style.
The country is not indicated.
They know style or category.
You taste. You have a flight of samples coming from one category. You might have different flights, of course, to taste. Obviously, why just only have I don't know, white agricole, and no. You have a few sets which are sent to you according to your expertise.
Okay, I see.
And 10 CL at least of each.
Okay, so how are they going to judge? Do you give out a 100-point scheme, or is that already set? What is the specialty? It's a 100-point scheme, or 30 or 20? And how do you get 2 medals?
Alors, first I will answer the last question, and then how it works. So first the medals and everything. So there is a law in Europe about that. You can only give medals to 30%. of products sent to the competition. If you are more than 30% of the product sent to your competition, this you cannot communicate or show this medal in your website or in communication and so on to a consumer from Europe by law. So we said that what we will do is only the best 30% of the samples from the categories will have only the grade of finalist. You know, you see the I don't know the Olympic Games or World Championship and so on. You know, people who are going to the final. That's the one, you know, that are the great products. So that's what we do. Less than 30%, up to 30% will be called finalists, so which are exceptional run already. And then each one of the categories or subcategories, there will be given one medal, which is the gold medal. We don't do platinum, double gold, or whatever, because people don't like bronze and silver is not so good commercially. No, we award one gold medal for each category and subcategory. And yes, there might be a few subcategories. I was talking about agricole and fresh cane juice rum. So yes, you have this is one category, and you have three less categories below that, which are white or young, or 3 to 6, and over 6 or 7 years.
So, if you say you have subcategories, you get one gold medal for each subcategory, and then one grand winner of the category.
And then, so you have gold, you have finalists for the top, not third, but top 30%. Then you have the gold medal for the winner in each category. So that means 9 main categories, but sometimes with 3 or more subcategories. So we don't want to give 200 medals. No, there will be like all in all, if I count right, that will be around 20 medals. 20 gold medals, okay? And then 30% finalists.
René just came back with another question. He said, I see Clarin is in category 6. Why not in the sugarcane group?
To finish, there will be a super award. There will be a special prize of the jury, and there will be a La Canne d'Or, the golden cane award, which will be the best, and there will be a special prize from the jury. It's a bit like the Cannes Festival, you know. You have the Palme d'Or, and then you have the special prize from the jury. I never understood the difference until we created this competition. Alors, René, to answer this question about Clarin. So I've been working on Clarin for more than 6 years now. So some Clarin are made of pure sugarcane juice in some region, of course, not especially, no, but most of the Clarin are made of syrup. There is no molasses in Haiti since the 80s, because there are no longer American sugar factory there to produce molasses like ASCO, Haitian American Sugarcane Company. ASCO doesn't exist anymore, but they still produce syrup. So you have let's say industrial, semi-industrial syrup. You have artisanal syrup. Usually you have some guys cooking the syrup there, and then next to it you have a guildive, as we say, doing it. So if you think Clarin is only made of pure sugarcane juice, you've never been to Haiti, or you haven't been shown the real Haiti. I've been working in Haiti with an association which is working on education and craftsmanship, actually. So bringing electricity education and so on over there, only run by Haitian people. And so I've been all around the country on early, and I've seen most of the Clarin done with syrup. And then you can have also a mix of syrup with juice. And then you can also have the rapadura, the whole sugarcane bread, as you say, bread, something like that. And then you can also have the vinasse and so on mixed to that. So it's very, very difficult. And then now, Clarin, if you want to do 2 categories, yes, you could do the pure sugarcane. But if you're a pure sugarcane, our Clarin also, again, these Clarin are usually the farm style Clarin, I would say. And some distilleries have columns, pure copper columns. So they are done in the French agricole style. So some locally called Clairin could be agricole or fresh cane juice rum. Technically, they are exactly done in the same way. If they are batch and so on and so on, if you want to go in that style, maybe it's better because most of the Clairin, I would say, are a long fermentation. And long fermentation is the main characteristic of this rum, actually. And then you have some which are what we call the vapor or steam engine Clairin, which are usually distilled in columns and usually are made of shorter fermentation. That would be, I think, the fairest or the cleanest division in Clairin.
We got the point why it's not under the pure ones. Getting back to your scoring system. I mean, you said finalists. Is it?
So the idea is that people, so all judges, and that I think it's quite new. So everybody tastes at home. So what they do is that they have a scorecard, and everything is done in our intranet.
Okay.
So there is a frame. You have to follow the frame. You have to describe the aromas and stuff like that, and so on and so on. And the scorecard we have created, and this is very, very, very interesting because what we will do also is that we will have several judges. We will have tasted one product or one category and so on. But the idea is there will be a result from the competition, will be finalists, gold medal, and so on and so on. But also, and I think it's very, very interesting for the consumers because that's competition are not for consumers and producers mostly. And here, what we'll do is that we will aggregate those tasting notes. And we will give I think, a very honest picture of the profile of the rum. And all those profiles will be published on the website. So you don't need to win to be on the website. You just need to send your samples and you will be tasted and you will have your scorecard, which will be available there. So meaning that if you're looking for some specific profile or I'm a beginner, I like rum from maybe 10 to 20 grams of sugar, and I like something very sweet with nutmeg and so on, you can find the product. You don't need to look for the medals. If you don't trust medals, maybe you will trust better the profile and the objective, the real objectivity of the product, which will be given by the categories plus the analysis we will do in the lab.
Wow. Well, I mean, this is quite sought after flavor profile. What you didn't tell me until now, it's a 100-point scheme, isn't it? Point-wise. Or don't they give out any points? I mean, how do you separate the finalists from the rest? There must be something like a point scheme or...
Exactly. You have the objectivity of it, which are the flavors, and then you have the scorecards with different scales on nose, taste, aftertaste, and so on and so on. Yes. I won't reveal everything about the scorecard so far.
Okay, that's a fair point. Okay.
that's among judges for the moment. Yes, of course we can. I think we will reveal more and more. The idea is to bring full transparency to everything we do. But of course, yes, we are still in the first edition. So we have all the rules. They are all public. All producers and any institution or consumer want to check them can check them. Then there might be some adjustment for some reason, for some things. Maybe we will see. For instance, if we need to get enough samples in each category, also, which I believe now is the case, but the idea is to have enough sample for each category to be able to give also medals and finalists and so on and so on. So we will see that. It's honestly, it's the first edition. We are in the COVID year and so on. Logistic is not so easy. Also, and actually, everything was, I mean, all the rules and everything, we work on them from last year. It's not the COVID who inspired us to do the tasting at home. It's something we wanted to do from scratch. No, definitely, I don't want people to think, they just change everything because of that. No, we wanted to do it like this. And the only thing we wanted to do a gathering for is for the ceremony to give the award to the producers, bottlers or brand owners and so on. And this, because we didn't talk about it, but International Sugarcane Spirit Awards is the merger of the Rumfest Awards in Paris and London. So plus an extra team on top of that, including lots of people working for Rum Porter magazine and so on, to bring that to another scale. So yes, normally there should be 1 year a ceremony in Paris and the next year a ceremony in London and vice versa.
I see. Okay, so this is alternate between London and Paris. How are you going to communicate?
So it's not French. It is not only European Union. It's also a Brexit country. And
you should be very careful with such sentences. How are you going to communicate? Is everything through Rum Porter and the website, or do you have tie-ups with other magazines in other parts of the world?
So we have judges nearly on all continents. For this year, for the moment, we don't have the judge from Australia, and also Australia to send the samples on is a bit of a nightmare. But what we have now is a core jury of 24 members, and then we will expand the jury accordingly to the expansion of the number of samples and categories. So we have built potentially up to 48 judges, and I think it will be enough. And I hope we will include you in the enlargement of the jury, because I believe in the Alpine spirit. You're a great expert, and
I mean we do some rum over
vision,
here,
or at least marketplace.
I totally understand being in the second line. That's not a point. But back to the communication. How can you spread?
Yeah, so communication. So
your turn.
So it's I mean, communication. We have a lot of partners, obviously. Some partners are institution, which means association of producers, which are so institutional partners. And this is by the judges, the founders, the way we work and the transparency we want to give. Some association of producers, especially in Brazil, are our partners. So I think it's already a great. I mean, it will give a lot of credibility to the competition. So we will judge cachaça mostly outside of Brazil. Of course, we have a lot of Brazilian or people living in Brazil will be our cachaça judges, but it will be maybe split, between people living in Brazil and people living outside of Brazil. I think quite fair in terms of brands. So some brands are only done for export, for instance. Then, of course, we have a lot of supports from rum fairs and other spirit and cocktail fairs in the world. Of course, we talked about Paris and London, but yes, we can talk about Miami Rum Congress. We can talk about Hong Kong. We can talk about the Nordic Rum Fest in Copenhagen, the Rum Renaissance Festival, and so on and so on. We also have the German Rum Festival, of course, the Italian Rum Show, New York, and other, California. Sorry, I couldn't name and remember all of them. So
that's okay.
All those awards will be displayed also across those. Of course, all product won't be available at each show, but I think it's really interesting also to go and say, that's the new award, the new medal. This one has been awarded the best among the category, which has been tasted. We don't say it's the best in the world, it's the best in the competition, of course. But we hope to have more and more product in that. And then, of course, in terms of media, yes, Rum Porter, but then we have a lot, for the moment, mostly specialized media, because it's the first year, and we really want to anchor this competition in the rum and the sugarcane spirit world. Then we will expand more across the spirits and cocktail press. And then we ensure also a very good media coverage beyond that, with, of course, online communication and lifestyle press, where we will have our press release and so on sent to that. And I hope with our transparency and credibility, we will try to rise at least the awareness as much as we can. As I said, the idea is to try to reach the level of the wine competitions.
Okay. Well, I see there is quite a lot to like, and looking forward to the first results we are getting this year from you. Fingers crossed. I heard products can still be entered.
Yes. At least until tomorrow. Normally 31st of July should be the last day. It's a very difficult year. Maybe we can still discuss if there are some technical issues and so on. If already you have inscribed yourself on the website and so on, yes, we can work on that. Then we have to follow the schedule to receive all the samples from all over the world. We have samples from, I don't know, Ecuador and Brazil, Australia, South Africa, and everywhere coming in. So everything is flying to Paris, where we have our offices and everything else. And then we will control all the bottles, check all the labelings, then take some samples, except for super premium or single cask. Normally we will need 3 samples, so three bottles, like around 2 liters for each product to do that. If you have only a single cask or a super premium product, you can only send 2 bottles.
Okay.
We will manage that, but we might skip the analysis because we have less liquid.
Peter just wanted to make sure you were talking about deadline tomorrow. So he needs to be very
go
quick.
online now.
ISS-awards.com, and then he can enter his product. Got it, Peter?
Yes. If you have any question, you can send us. You can send any technical or logistic question. Hello. Okay. I see people checking in. Let's say go online now, check in, and then as long as you already have an account there, you can register your product.
Great.
And we can discuss. If you already have an account now, we can discuss anything logistic and so on. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he will get back to you. Time just flew. It's 48 minutes.
Yeah.
What's your upcoming plans? Are there any travels coming up? Or do you stay in France, in Cognac at the moment?
I stay in France. I don't stay in Cognac. I try to stay as much as home as I can, and I wear a mask everywhere I go, inside, outside, because we have to. We have all been deeply hurt, I believe, by this crisis, and we have to take care of each other. But we still have to continue working and sharing experiences as much as we can. So less to the general public and going to fairs, obviously, especially in our profession where we have to taste and spit and so on. That's a nightmare. For some school I'm working with, we cannot plan tasting before next May.
No, really?
By law, we cannot. No, I cannot. All the courses and so on I'm giving in some schools are just theoretical. Some we are not even sure this winter we can go there because it's just I'm living more than 100 kilometers from the school, so we have to plan everything like that, and we cannot plan training, tasting up to the. So yes, there will be some professional fairs, but only for professional. For general public would be much harder. So less travel because of that. But more and more exchange, of course, with internet, studying with a lot of books and research coming in. Of course, trying to travel only to France, not taking any planes so far, only the car actually. But we have already plenty of distilleries, not as many as you guys in Austria. I remember your 60,000
Oh yes,
in Austria. We are a tiny country in France. We only have 10,000, something like that. Now we have already plenty of things. And wow, postage international postage are actually faster than some national ones. So receiving samples from California works better than the distillery, which is 20 kilometers away from me. That's stupid. Now, for the moment, now I'm tasting a lot of cognacs for the next edition. I don't know. Can I show this? No?
Yes,
the book
sure.
I show you before the video. For that, the critical encyclopedia of facts about cognacs. If you want everything about the vineyards, the size of the vineyards, and everything that is there, the grape varieties and so on. And for each producer, we have the EXO cognac. So I've done most of the VSOP, and now I'm doing all the EXO tasting. So I already did 220 EXO cognacs. And we will reach over 300 for the end of the summer, plus everything that is the new spirits that are flying in all the time. So yes, but the focus for this book is EXO cognac, which is not a bad thing to do actually. But for the summer, it's a bit warm, but the spirits are opening up very easily actually. That's one of the, usually in the summer I stay here in Cognac, and when it's very warm actually, that's when we taste some of the super old spirits, like 60, 70 or 200 years old in cask or in the medium and so on, because they open up very fast. Usually some of them you have to wait 2, 3, maybe 6 hours to really have a good image of them. But when it's like 20, 30 something in the warehouse, in 30 minutes, 1 hour, they open up and they go very fast. So you only take 3 samples and then you follow and you say, we will do, I don't know, Petit Champagne from 1930s this morning. And that's the kind of thing you usually do in the summer.
Fair. That's just not fair telling me that stuff now, huh? But maybe I can join you somewhere.
If you can fly in, at that moment, you can travel. I mean, if we take all precaution, we stay apart, we can take samples and so on. We have all our speed tunes and so on. If the only thing is not to have too big a group, but yes, we can accommodate 1 or 2 people. And then, we have... We can follow all the rules and have some nice things.
We discussed that later on in backstage.
And this is at least usually 50-60%, so it can also help to disinfect your hands if you need to.
Absolutely. So Alexandre, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Arthur.
Please stay on in the backstage. Thanks very much for watching us. Thanks for the great questions. Next week, same time, I'm up with my friend Colin Hamden-White, talking about his curious online things he started during lockdown, and ask him some questions about the 3 drinkers and his TV series. So stay tuned, have a good week, and see you next week. Thanks very much for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.